Donald Trump had one of his propaganda meetings after Congress passed his tax bill, and Mike Pence got roasted by the internet because he gave Trump an over-the-top, groveling, fawning praise kind of statement. Let's watch.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Mike, would you like to say a few words?
Well, I appreciate it, Mr. President. As I told you last night, shortly after the Senate vote, and I know I speak on behalf of the entire cabinet and of millions of Americans when I say congratulations and thank you. Thank you for seeing through the course of this year an agenda that truly is restoring this country. You described it very well, Mr. President. From the outset of this administration, we've been rebuilding our military, putting the safety and security of the American people first. You've restored American credibility on the world stage. We're standing with our allies. We're standing up to our enemies. But you promised economic renewal at home. You said we could make this economy great again. And you promised to roll back regulations. And you signed more bills rolling back federal red tape than any president in American history. You've unleashed American energy. You've spurred an optimism in this country that's setting records. But you promised the American people in that campaign a year ago that you would deliver historic tax cuts, and it would be a middle-class miracle. And in just a short period of time, that promise will be fulfilled. And I'm deeply humbled as your vice president to be able to be here because of your leadership, Mr. President, and because of the strong support of the leadership in the Congress of the United States. You're delivering on that middle-class miracle. You've actually got the Congress to do, as you said, what they couldn't do with Anwar for 40 years. You've got the Congress to do with tax cuts for working families and American businesses what they haven't been able to do for 31 years. And you got Congress to do what they couldn't do for 7 years in repealing the individual mandate in Obamacare.
Oh, that was gross. He's just he's like, oh, yes. Oh, Mr. President, your farts smell delicious. You're so wonderful in every imaginable way. Sometimes I touch myself thinking about you at night. Yes. Yes. And everything he said there's not true. And, I think one of the things that's gotten under my skin more than anything, under Trump, I mean, it's just in the modern era in general, but definitely under Trump, is the media and the Democrats, because the media seems totally ineffectual in fighting back against Trump and covering him in an accurate way. And the Democrats seem totally ineffectual in fighting back as well. I mean, every time I've heard the Republicans open their mouth about this bill, they say what Mike Pence just said right there. Historic tax cuts for the middle class. Yeah. Yeah. But no, every independent analysis says the same thing. If you make $75,000 a year or less, which is the overwhelming majority of the American people, because half the country makes $30,000 a year or less, this is actually going to be a tax increase on you. When there's a sunset provision on the tax cuts for the middle class, so when you look 10 years out in the future, everybody gets a tax increase if you make $75,000 a year or less. And I'm not even factoring in that the net amount that you're paying might go up even in the short term, because even though they do some middle-class tax cuts up front, your premiums are going to spike for health insurance by about 20%. So that might wipe out whatever cut you were going to get. And another thing they do, Mike Pence didn't do it there, but I've seen Paul Ryan do it. The average tax cut for the American family is going to be $2,000. The average tax cut for the American family is going to be... That is so grossly misleading that it's pathetic. That's like me saying Michael Jordan and I have an average of 3 NBA championship rings. It's true. That's the average. 3. Me and Michael Jordan. But I have 0 and he has 6, so the average is massively misleading. 82% of the tax cuts in this bill go to the top 1%. And he's Mr. President, can I tell you how perfect you are? Frankly, your orange face is like the light of the sun, heating up a cold winter's morning in the forest. I love your platinum blonde hair, even though you're a 70-some-odd-year-old man. It makes you look so young and vibrant, and I don't think you dyed at all. That's your natural color, just like you definitely didn't have surgery to make your hair look beautiful, sir. Can I tell you that the way you dress, it's so wonderful in so many ways. Frankly, I think you might be the best president ever, so yes. This bill has a 33% approval rating. Oh shit, did I say that part out loud? Nobody likes it, but they live in their own bubble, and they don't give a shit about any economists or experts. What was the number? I think it was 42 out of 43 economists or something like that said, yeah, this bill's gonna hurt the country. They're totally divorced from experts. Why? It's not about, they don't care. This is about they're serving their wealthy donors. But I think the thing that's so unconscionable to me is that as they do it, they play a game where they pretend. Like, how can you pretend when I just told you the numbers about the economists? I just told you the numbers about how this affects the middle class and it raises their taxes. The nerve to go out there and pretend like, no, this is a middle class tax cut bill. That's what this is. This is a fucking middle class tax cut bill. It's so sickening, man. And what a fucking beta male, you know? It's so funny that the people on the right, they love to say that, like, about guys on the left, like, look at this effeminate, feminist wannabe who's a beta male who's so subservient. Ridiculous. Anyway, did you see that awesome thing that Mike Pence said to Donald Trump? I mean, that's what he's a beta male. That's beta male shit, 100%. Genuflecting at the altar of this buffoon, who, by the way, according to every report, had no clue what was even in the bill. Trump had no idea. Trump does. Did you know the original tax plan? It was written by Goldman Sachs. Gary Cohn and Steve Mnuchin, top administration officials. He railed against fucking Hillary and Ted Cruz. They're sold out to Wall Street puppets. Are they puppets? And then he's like, anyway, I will now appoint the president of Goldman Sachs in my administration. I'll have a top economic advisor, Treasury Secretary, Goldman Sachs. Let's do Goldman Sachs everywhere. So he didn't even write the bill. It was the Goldman Sachs that wrote the bill. They even presented the bill the first time. And then we're shocked. Like, oh shit, this actually only helps Wall Street and corporations and the rich. Yeah, exactly. But Trump doesn't even know. It's the same thing. Whenever they spoke to him about his health care bill, which, by the way, had a 17% approval rating, nobody likes anything this guy's putting forward. People hate it. But when reporters would talk to him about his health care bill, they would say, sir, how are the negotiations going? Can you tell us what provisions you're stuck on and which provisions are going to be in the final version of the bill? Trump would say, yeah, tremendous. So we've been doing amazing conversations, unbelievable conversations. You know, some of the people in the Republican caucus, they're the best people, some of the greatest people I've worked with. And frankly, we think this is going to be unbelievable. We think this is going to be an amazing tax cut. Or amazing health care. They asked you, what about the provisions? He literally couldn't name a single provision. Every time they asked him about provisions of the bill, he would pivot and start talking about the process of the negotiation. So anyway, I had a conversation with Mark Meadows, who's the head of the Tea Party, the Freedom Caucus, and it went unbelievable. There were many things we agree on, and we're working it out. No, sir, we asked you about the provisions. Let me just tell you, this is an incredible bill. The American people are going to love this bill. That's not what they asked you. They asked you about the provisions. He can't name a fucking provision in his own goddamn bill. He can't name it because he's a fucking idiot. That's why he's an idiot. And you think this isn't staged with Mike Pence? It's 100% staged. He tells him beforehand. In fact, he's done this before. These are little propaganda meetings where he says, we're all going to get together, we're going to go around the room, and all of you are going to blow me. Oh, Mr. President, you've done an amazing job with this bill. Yeah. Yeah. If you support this guy at this point, I have no words for you. Frankly, I am stunned by your lack of reason if you still support this guy.